Here I'm going to show you how to make dynamic interactive charts that you can change with the click of a button to add values and to show them in different ways. Let me show you some examples. Here we've got one that will automatically add new values to the chart as we type, and we can also filter, sort, determine who we have appear on the chart really easily. You can probably understand how this one's made right there. But then we've also got some really interesting ones with form controls where we can choose who we display, like that, with some option buttons or drop-down menus, and a nice little one where we can scroll through dates. So look, January, February, March. I go to the right, Feb, March, April, and again, and again. So let's go ahead and make some dynamic charts. Now let's get started with this tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and bring back the home tab. Let's start with this one, which is going to be the easiest one. Go into the table. So you can see it's just a regular table, nothing special here. But let's go ahead and make this table. Let's start with our default data. I'm going to copy it right here. And just Alt-ESV, enter, copy, paste special values it right here. Right now it's just regular data, but to make this work we need to make it a table. So click in here, hit Control-T, or go to Insert and Table. Choose My Table Has Headers. If you have headers, this row right here, you want headers. And now we have a table. And the table automatically, once you start typing below it, is going to add the new values to it to expand below. So all that we have to do is to make a chart from this table, and the table automatically adds your filter and sort buttons right here. So let's go ahead and get this guy out of the way and make our new chart. Click in here, go to Insert, and let's go for this guy right here. How about that? And chart title, you can go ahead and change that if you want. But now we're good. So Chris, we add Chris, 12, not a very good salesman, but getting better and better. And then just click here, and it's a little off the screen, but you can choose who you want to display. But maybe more interesting is, let me back that up one, we can go here and we can filter. So go to number filters, a little off the screen right now, and then you can choose greater than, less than. You have lots of options. Let's choose greater than. So we want Januaries that are greater than, let's go for 70. Hit OK. And now the chart's only going to display the criteria that we care about. So that's maybe the more interesting feature for setting your data as a table and putting it into a chart, at least from my perspective. But now we're done with this example. Set your data as a table, make a chart from it, and have fun. You've already made your chart much more powerful than a regular chart. But now let's make it more interesting. Let's go to Form Controls, where we have an option button down here, and we have a little drop-down menu right here. And what I'm going to do here is to show you a system for making this, which will work in a similar way for the scroll bar over here, although this one's a little bit more complex. So let me reveal the data. And the goal of this tutorial is to make your life easier in Excel. And if you want to make it even more easy, if you want to automate Excel, I highly recommend that you check out my full VBA course that's going to show you how to make macros to automate all of your tasks in Excel. And even if you've never touched VBA or macros before, don't worry. It'll take you all the way from beginner, all the way from your very first line of code to intermediate level and to expert, with over 200 downloadable files and 200 video tutorials that'll teach you everything you need to know. And there's a link to that course below this video. And here is the magic. I had 4 hidden columns. So here is our data from the other worksheet, Jim, Jan, Joe, and their sales figures. It is not formatted as a table. We don't need that here. We have a little control value cell, which helps us manage what to show. And down here, what is actually plotted on the chart. So this is what's charted. And all we have to do is to change what's displayed here in the blue. So we make a nice, neat little index formula for that. And this index formula uses the control value here to change what it displays down here. I'm going to really quickly build this from scratch so you can see how easy it is. This is just hard-coded text, so I can copy and paste that, and let's go ahead and build the index function. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. And we start with the equals index. And this is going to say, hey, what data from this array do you want to display? And what is the array? Well, we are in the employee column, so let's select employees. And then we can comma to go to the next argument, which is the row number. Which row in here do we want? Well, the control value is going to give us that. So we can click this cell and then hit F4 so we can copy and paste it, and it's not going to change. So if I give this 2, like it is right now, it's going to go to the second row and return Jan. So I close up the index, I hit enter, and I can copy and paste it across. It's that easy. So now all that we need is a way to change this, a nice visual way. And that gets us to the developer tab, and let me zoom out, these two form controls. This is just a form control, and these are form controls. Let's add them down here. We go to the developer tab. If you don't have a developer tab, right click and go to customize the ribbon and go down to developer, put a check mark there, and hit OK. Then developer tab, insert form controls, and let's go for the combo box. That is what I refer to as the drop-down menu. And we can draw ourselves a little combo box. It's really big right now, don't worry about that. Then to get it to work, we right click and we go to Format Control, just a little off the screen right there. And on the Control tab, we have Input Range and Cell Link. Input Range is the list of values to display, Jim, Jen, Joe. And Cell Link is the control value. That's the cell it's going to control. So we want this cell. And drop-down lines is how many drop-down items you want to show in the little combo box at once without scrolling. We only have a few items, so we don't need to change that. We can hit OK. And click away. And let's make a little selection here. Jim. Now there we go. Looks like it should once we've made a selection, so it's not 0 up there. So Jim is 1. Jan is 2. And Joe is 3. And every time we change the control value, this down here changes. We could also change this by hand, by the way. Set it to 1 like that. And then all that we do is we take our little drop down and we put it over the chart. And we can resize it as well to make it look a little bit better. And probably put it on the left side. And if it appears behind the chart, all you have to do is right-click the chart and then go to Send to Back and Send to Back or Send Backward. Or you can right-click the drop-down and then go to Bring to Front to bring that guy up. Then if you want, you can click both of these. So click the chart and Control, click this little guy, right-click and group them. We can click away. And now we can move the chart and it's like a piece of the chart. So now let's go ahead and get these guys done. These are option buttons. And what we do for that is Developer tab, Insert, and we want this little guy first, the group box. It's going to make our life easier if we have lots of different groups of option buttons. Let's go like this. And we can click in here and delete all of that. Then go to Insert, Option button, and let's click 1. And we can go for another one. And how about one more? Now the little box that I put around this means that these buttons are going to work separate from these buttons. So if I click these, they all are grouped together. But if I click these are still grouped together. That's the point of the box. To edit the text for an option button, right-click, Edit Text, and we give it the name that we want. So we do have to hard code this, Jim, Jan, Joe. And I'm not going to show you that for all of them, but that's how you do that. And for the cell link, we right-click, we go to Format Control, Control, Cell Link, up a little bit to Control a Value, Enter, and OK. And it should change that for all of these. So if I right-click this, go to Format Control, Cell Link B6 as well. And now these option buttons are linked to this control value, and so is also this combo box and this combo box and these option buttons. Everything is linked to that control value now. So all you have to do is to make it look nice, and then place it underneath your chart, and we can change everything. Let's get that away by clicking an option button. And that's how you do that. A little bit of trickery, a control value cell, an index function, and you're good to go. Now let's do it for the scroll bar, which is a little bit more involved, but it follows the exact same premise. So here we want to scroll through dates. It can be kind of nice to look at it like this. So this is a form control, and I'm going to show you the magic behind the curtain right now. It looks a little different than the last worksheet, but it's pretty much the exact same thing. So here is our data, regular data. I've added 3 more months to make it look a little better when scrolling, but it's the same data, Jim, Jan, Joe. We have a control value, and then down here we have the data that we want to actually put on the chart. So all of this is going to be in the chart. And that reminds me that I might have forgotten one last little thing. Once you have this working, go ahead and click like this and go to Insert, and alright, let me get it right here. Get yourself a chart. So I did forget that last little piece. Make sure that you have actually charted the data that you have made dynamic, and then you're good to go. Alright, so for the scroll bar, this is what's actually in the chart, and all we have to do is to make it. Here, this is what's hard-coded because we don't want that to change. But all of this, including the titles, is a index function. And it does look a little bit more confusing, but that's because I've made this dynamic, and, well, we have to do a little bit more than the last one. So let's copy the data that's going to stay the same. And how about we zoom in a little bit and we make some formulas. All right. So right here, what do we want to do? All we want to do is go left to right on the titles. Then, or right here. Then down here, what do we want? The numbers left to right for Jim, Jan, and Joe. So we have to go up and down. So equals index. Index is our friend, and there are a lot of ways to do this, but I find this way to be rather easy. We select the entire data set, or simpler, let's put it that way. So we're going for B1 to G4, and we don't want this to change, so F4 to put the dollar signs around it. And now, what do we want for the row number? Well, here I want row 1, here I want row 2, row 3, and row 4. So row 1 of the data set, 2 of the data set, 3 of the data set, and 4 of the data set. Is there a nice dynamic way to do that? Oh yes, there is. The wonderful row function. So we give it cell A1, which means it's going to return 1, but we don't put dollar signs around it. So when we copy it down, it returns row A2, which returns 2 because it's the second row, and then 3 and 4. So a nice little way to make that dynamic. And now for the column. This is what we want the control value to change. So we're going to go ahead and select the control value. We don't want that cell reference to change. We put the dollar signs around it. But now we need a dynamic way to change it so that when we copy this formula to the right, it will refer to the correct value. So here I'm in column 1. I want to return column 1. And so I want to return column 1 as the lowest value, right? January, column 1. For February, I'm in column 2. That means that 2 should be the lowest value that I should be able to return for February. So I'm thinking of copying my formula to the right. And then for March, for this column, the lowest value that should be able to be returned is 3, because we only ever want to go to the third column on the left side. It can still go to the right, but it should never go past March on the left. That may sound confusing, but what I'm trying to tell you is that for the offset for the control value, for the first column, we want 0, because the lowest control value can be 1. For the second column, we want 1, and for the third column, we want 2. And the dynamic way to do that is to use the column function on column 1. However, that will give us the wrong value, right? So the lowest control value is going to be 1. So if we have 1 here, and then we plus 1, that will be 2 for the very first column, which is incorrect. We want 1. So we subtract 1. That is a confusing concept to explain, but all it is how to get the correct offset so that I can copy this formula to the right. If that is too confusing, you don't want to figure that out, you can simply hard code this. So you don't need this for the first column, but for the second column, you could put a 1 here. For the third column, you could put a 2 here. That would be the easy way to get around having to put this. Or you just put this in your formula and don't have to learn what it means. It should be pretty good to just copy and paste. So now I can hit Control Enter. It's the same thing as Enter basically, except for you don't leave your cell, and copy it over. February, March, April, and copy it down. All right, all the numbers look good. Let's change the control value to 1 so we can be at the start. Jan, Feb, March. Perfect. And how about we cycle through it now? 2, 3, 4, and that's as far as we can go. Notice 5 will cause an error. So when we link this control value to a form control, we want 4 as the maximum. And the very simple mathematical way to figure that out is we take the total number of columns here in our data set, 6. We minus the number of columns that we want to display, 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. And then we add 1, and that gets us 4. And finally, we are ready to combine everything and make a chart. Let's get that guy out of the way if we can. Come on, chart, let's go. Okay, so there are about 1 million different places to click chart. There we go. And let's select what we care about. Go to Insert, and let's give it a line chart. Okay. And I'm going to make that a little bit smaller for now. And then we go back to the Developer tab. We go to Insert, and here we're going to go for a scroll bar. And we can draw it underneath our chart. And then right-click, go to Format Control. And let's make our cell link attached to the control value. And down here, let's put current value at 1, minimum value at 1, maximum value is the max value we calculated this can be. So that is going to be 4. Incremental change of 1, so every time you click the arrows, it goes up or down by 1. Page change, if you click in between the arrows, but not on the little thing right there that scrolls, how much do you want it to change? Here we can set it to 1 because we don't have a very high maximum value. And then we can hit OK, click away, and check it out. January, February, March becomes Feb, March, April, and so on. And the last thing to do is let's move this guy right here. Click it, hold Shift, click that, right click, group, click away. Now we move the chart and we have the scroll bar attached. There you go, a dynamic chart. And now you may ask yourself, can I combine all of these? You can certainly combine a lot of these, especially with the control value and the form controls. The limit really just is your ability to create a monster formula and manage it. Now that's the end of this tutorial, and I hope that it helps you to make dynamic interactive charts and to automate your workbooks. But if you want to make it a little bit more interactive and you want to automate things more, make sure that you check out my full VBA and macro course that I have linked to below this video. The whole purpose of that course is to make your life easier in Excel. And every single tutorial comes with its own downloadable Excel file with all the notes, the comments, and all of the code from every single video tutorial. And if you take the course, you're also going to get email support from me. So if you're ever stuck on any issue, any problem, anything you don't understand in it, you can always shoot me a message and I'll walk you through it.